Team, I want to talk about this big push underway to send places across the country back into phase one of the lockdown, effectively full-on lockdown. I want to talk about this in depth because this is completely ludicrous. I don't care what the public health experts are saying about. Okay, but hold off on that for a second. I get a little bit fired up about this. Okay. First, though, as if it was not a dumb enough situation we're dealing with, that Democrats are pushing for defunding of police. And it's more than the defunding. It's just also the lack of support for police at a time of particular need for law enforcement resources and action from our cops to prevent people from dying, including, toddlers and little boys and girls in places like Chicago who are getting shot through all this gang violence and just all these things that are going on right now. And at that point in time, to say that cops shouldn't be supported even more is reckless. And yet the Democrats and the media, and it's amazing as you see this happening, the Democrats and the media are going around acting like they can't understand what's happening in the country. I don't get it. I don't understand. Here's from the Associated Press. Still reeling from the coronavirus pandemic and protests over the George Floyd killing, cities around the nation are facing another challenge: a surge in shootings that have left dozens dead. Experts say the spike in violence defies easy explanation. This is from the Associated Press. Defies easy explanation, huh? That's weird, because some of us have been saying, as soon as these protests against cops started, if you defund cops, if you undermine police, more people, particularly more minorities, will die. People will be shot in cities. There'll be more loss of life. We've been saying this would happen. Now it's happening, and the libs are going, I'm not really sure, not really sure what's going on here, but, some bad stuff, man. No one really gets it. I don't know where this comes. We all know where it comes from, you abject morons. But you just want to believe things that no serious, sane person could think is true, like, we don't need cops. Democrat activists walk around, imagine a society without cops. Wouldn't that be great? It's like saying, imagine a society without human beings. Because as long as there are human beings, there will need to be those who enforce order and rules. Some people break rules and need to be punished. Some people are just bad and have to be stopped. There are rapists and serial killers, and, there's bad stuff out there in the world. And that's not going away ever. But yes, that's right. Experts say the spike in violence defies easy explanation. Or maybe they could ask our old friend Beto. That's right, Beto O'Rourke, who's like, remember when he was just going to play his guitar and he was going to be president because he was born to be president? Remember all that? Yeah, turns out that's not going to happen. But here's what Beto thinks is the real reason for the spike in murders in major cities across America. Play clip 14.
In some way, we have tacitly accepted this historic, tragic level of gun violence in America that continues to rise. And we saw that just over the weekend in many American cities. It's that same kind of death cult mentality that asks us to accept 1/4, 25% of the world's COVID cases, 1/4, 25% of the world's COVID deaths, though we represent only 4% of the globe's population.
We're talking about people being shot in cities, and Beto is like, yeah, it's like that death cult mentality of the COVID. As nothing, this is just blather. Joe's just not very smart. He married a rich lady, and now he's a congressman. He's just not very smart. Can we just say this? The guy's not impressive. He kind of reminds me a little bit of the dumb first son from the show Succession, for those of you who watched it, who lives out in, like, New Mexico or something. I think he lives out there in the show. And he's in a ranch, and he's like, yeah, I just want to be president, but also I think that, like, we should all be ready to freeze ourselves because cryogenesis is going to make us live forever. It's a little bit Beto and that guy. If you haven't seen Succession, I highly recommend it. He does remind me of that guy. But that's right. They're asking us to think that there's no correlation, or we should not take a direct line between actually telling them, openly claiming that this will lead to bad things. This will lead to bad things, and they do the thing, and then the bad results happen, meaning more people are getting shot in New York and Chicago. People are getting killed, and sure enough, Atlanta has to call in 1,000 members of the National Guard because of all the violence. And they're like, we don't understand where this came from. That's why you can never expect Democrats. You can never expect Democrats to change their ways because of the results or because of reality. They'll just deny reality. It doesn't matter. Democrats have been in charge of cities that have been plagued by violent crime for decades, and they still think they should always be in charge. They still think that their approach is always the best approach. They've got a fever, and the only prescription is more elected Democrats. That's the way they do things. I meant to get to this. On my analysis that Biden, I don't think this is particularly unique. I think most people can see this. But on my analysis that Biden is just going to be a puppet of the Democrat Party, in case you were wondering, well, what would that really mean? What does that really look like? Bernie Sanders is out there like, I got an idea. We're going to have Biden take my policy proposals and act like I'm the president because he'll do what I want him to do. Play clip 13.
I was glad to work with the vice president in forming 6 separate task forces, which had some of the most knowledgeable people in the country coming together to deal with education and climate change and healthcare and the economy and criminal justice and immigration reform. And these folks, needless to say, people who represented the progressive movement had a different perspective on things than did Biden's people. But there was serious discussion and I think a real honest effort to come up with a compromise. And I think the compromise that they came up with, if implemented, will make Biden the most progressive president since FDR.
So that's what they're going to tell the base. They're going to Bernie out there telling his people he's going to be the most progressive president since FDR. That's what he's going to be telling the base. But trust me, ABC News, CNN, New York Times, all these big flagship Democrat liberal media institutions will be saying Biden's going to be a moderate. Biden will govern as a moderate. He'll unify the country and be a moderate. And you and I will know that that's crap. But they're not talking to you and me. They think that they'll be talking to swing voters across the country in places like Ohio who will say, Trump, it's been a little, 2020's been a bad year for America. Bad year, no question. Okay, it's a bad year. We had 3 great years with Trump. And I did tell you they were great when they were happening. So I hope you listened and, popped open a few beers and celebrated the greatness of this country. But people that just want to return to normalcy will be tempted because of what they're being told by the media to believe that Biden is a moderate narrative. And that's where we're going to have problems. So on the one hand, they'll be like, Biden's going to be the most progressive president ever. And on the other hand, they're going to be saying, oh, yeah, no, he's going to be really moderate. And the point is, they don't view that as incongruent. They don't view this as, they'll lie. That's really straightforward. They'll just say what they have to say to get people to vote for them. Classic politics, but Democrats are particularly shameless about it.
as long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
Dismantle the whole system of oppression wherever we find it. Ilhan Omar, member of Congress from Minnesota, her district got really hammered by the riots after the George Floyd killing, and now she wants to tear down the whole system. I got to tell you, I do not think that is that is encouraging. To anybody who thinks that Democrats are going to govern responsibly, I've got news for you. The radicals are running the show over there. At least Ilhan Omar will say out loud what many of the Democrats only say behind closed doors. Tear down the system. Tear down the system. Remake the system. We're not arguing about, we're not arguing about making some changes here and there to have the system function a little better. They want to scrap it and redo it. How? Oh, who knows? This is a bit like when they want to tear down all the statues and we say, what statues should they be replaced with? Should there just be no statues? And then they get all huffy about that. They get all the statue topplers. They don't have an answer. Same thing with Democrats, with destroy the system and redo it. How should we redo the system? Oh, they don't really know. They're not really sure. But I just think we should, when you got Bernie Sanders saying Biden's going to be the most progressive president since FDR, and you got Ilhan Omar walking around saying, let's tear down the system of oppression wherever we find it. Where's the oppression? How is the system oppressive? I never really get any. They talk about some statistics, and then they won't want to talk about other statistics that will undermine their argument about the statistics that they're using. Where exactly is the oppression? I don't know. This is where they say, but there's racism. And I say, yeah, of course there's racism. There's also corruption. There's cruelty. There's a lot of bad things in this society, in every society. But just complaining about something that exists that's bad doesn't mean that you should be empowered to then do whatever you want in politics. I know that's a shock to the libs and the left, but that's where we are. So just remember, that's what Ilhan Omar goes around saying. I also wanted to switch just now to some talk about what's going on with the shutdown talk. New York is going to be open a few days a week in the fall. This is, we won't stop. We won't stop, it seems, destroying our own way of life and economy, at least until the November election happens, and then maybe there'll be a change. I saw Governor Abbott in Texas. We got to have a talk. What's going on, Texas? When things were terrible in New York and we were on this awful lockdown, we looked at you and we said, oh, gosh, Texas is the promised land. I'm sitting here talking to Mark about, do we need to move the Freedom Hut to Austin? Not feeling so free over there right now. Governor Abbott's locking everything down. Locking everything down again. Or not even again. I think this is probably the worst lockdown they've had. We'll get to the lockdowns. Schools, though. This is turning into an obvious political fight. Here is Governor Cuomo saying the president doesn't have the authority. Play clip one.
I heard the president speak yesterday and what he was tweeting about today on schools. And look, this is getting a little old as far as I'm concerned. And I heard what the president said on schools, but this has been there, done that, right? School reopenings are a state decision, period. That is the law, and that is the way we're going to proceed. It's not up to the President of the United States. There is something called the Constitution that guides government power, and then there are a series of laws that are based on that Constitution, and the President does not have the authority to open schools.
The president does have the authority to direct the Department of Education to withhold federal education funds from schools that refuse to open. Where's the DOJ? Where is the power of the executive branch in all these fights? I worry that there's still a belief in the White House that The initial shutdown was the right thing. The national, everybody has to shut down was the right thing to do. I worry that that's still where they are. I really do. We'll get more into that. I also just have to say, though, I saw a video, as we're talking about reopening schools, a video of a couple of teachers. This is from Campus Reform. And everyone was saying, maybe we should keep the schools closed when they saw these two teachers. Remember, teachers just want to teach. The head of the American Teachers Federation or whatever, American Federation of Teachers, they just want to teach. Our teachers are, they're all doing God's work. Some of them are wonderful. I love some teachers. Plenty of friends who are teachers. But some of them are pretty bad at their jobs. I think that's fair to say. Here are two teachers that spoke to Campus Reform and made sure that we all know what kind of stuff they know. Play clip 5.
So I was a 7th grade civics teacher, government teacher, and she is an elementary school teacher.
What year did we get our independence?
17-something.
We're teachers.
I actually don't teach what's in our curriculum. I'm teaching children social studies that's not in our curriculum, teaching them things about how to be an anti-racist. I taught them about protesting. I taught them about Black Lives Matter.
That's right. Anti-racist training for your kids from social studies teachers who don't know what year the country was founded. If you told me that I had to find someone who fit that description, right? A social studies teacher who didn't know what year the country was founded, I actually would have thought that would be pretty tough. Apparently, Campus Reform is able to find them right away, no problem. I find this frustrating, but it's also illuminating. It tells us that kids really are not getting, how do I put this? The Department of Education is not sending us their best, okay? Or the local teachers association, whatever it may be, it's doing the hiring in your area. They're not sending us their best. This was a real moment. Yeah, I guess we should, we got to open the schools anyway, obviously, but this was pretty funny when everyone was sharing this around saying, oh, okay. Well, here's some teachers that, and remember, they're training the future generations of people that are going to be screaming in cops' faces on the streets, spittle coming out of their mouths about how cops are racist, but they're the good people for telling the cops who are doing a necessary and important job in society how awful they are. They are being taught this in school with your tax dollars. Working from home is driving up one of the worst kinds of theft out there online, home title theft. See, here's how it works. Your home's title is out there online, and the bad guys can find it. And then what they do is use the information they have on you and on your home, and they take out loans against the home. So they get to take all that cash, and guess what? You get stuck with the payments. The FBI is trying to warn people about this crime all the time. It's becoming increasingly rampant across the country, especially now with everybody in their homes. You got to make sure the cyber thieves aren't able to get inside. That's why you need Home Title Lock. Home Title Lock creates a virtual barrier around your home's title. Identity theft protection, all the usual services don't generally protect you from this. You need Home Title Lock. Give it a shot now. Protect your home. Go to HomeTitleLock.com. Register your address to see if you're already a victim. Use code BUCK for 30 free days of protection to help you through this crisis. Again, go to HomeTitleLock.com. Use code BUCK at HomeTitleLock.com.
Are very clear recommendations that when you have a county with these types of cases, we are recommending everyone using a face covering. And I think the studies now that have been done showing that cotton face coverings work, that does open up the ability for us all to have individualized face coverings that express our personality. But in addition, I think the work that these governors have done to and ask the American people to stop going to bars, to close the bars, to move to outdoor dining, to decrease any kind of indoor gatherings, again, to all of the Americans out there that are in these 4 states and the states that have, in the report, we're in the red zone because there's a series of other states that we have in that zone, is really asking the American people in those counties and in those states to not only use the face coverings, not going to bars, not going to indoor dining, but really not gathering in homes either, and decreasing those gatherings back down to our phase 1 recommendation, which was 10 or less.
Back to phase 1, lockdown 2.0, folks. I told you they would do it, and here we are. Remember, 15 days. 15 days to stop the spread. That's what we're told. Oh, no. Now we're at 115 days, close to that, to stop the spread. Again. We keep going through this. They will not stop. Also, she says, I want to see where this is, that the cotton face coverings have been proven effective. The studies, where are these studies that say that the cotton face coverings are proven effective? Aerosolized virus is stopped by something that you breathe through. And one problem with the actual face coverings, just so is that as you breathe through it, there's condensation, and then some of the airflow actually will get forced up and below the mask itself, and that airflow is just open to what is around you. Because the mask is, we're not talking about N95s, we're not talking about respirators, we're just talking about the standard piece of, it's not even standard, people are making their own, they're making, it's like DIY, making their own face coverings. Now, this is where we're being told by Dr. Birx that this is, look, they're never going to say that it doesn't work. They're always going to claim, well, it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. And as I've told you, you could also tell people, hold your breath and close your nose every time you're around people for, a minute. Better than nothing. Is it annoying? Is it cumbersome? Yeah, but it's better than nothing. Here we are, being told to lock down again. I'm wondering when the American spirit of don't tread on me and go blank yourself is going to come back a little bit more. We know what the issue is when it comes to mortality and when it comes to who is at risk for this disease. If you are in a high-risk age category, there should be precautions taken because, yes, it is dangerous, it is lethal. For people under 60, we have to live our lives. Okay? This shouldn't be that but no, Dr. Birx over here, Dr. Fauci, where's he? Do we have any Fauci today? Oh, I'll be Fauci. Everyone just go home, lock yourself at home, middle of summer, be home a few more weeks, no problem. No, it is a problem. They're going to do this again and again and again. Now we are at a point where I don't see how we don't have lockdown demands during flu season. Oh, the flu spiked in this area. We're going to have to be, locked down. You might say, Buck, but there's these metrics they have in place. Oh, I'm sorry. We don't care about the thousands of people who die every month from the flu. We could stop it with our cotton masks, right? Let's just all wear masks, all stay inside, all not live our lives anymore. Let's be prisoners again. That's what they're telling us. If you're in Texas, you're in Arizona, you're in Florida, you're in Georgia, be a prisoner again. Sorry. Use the force of law on you, too. They'll fine you. Sure, they'll start locking people up, too. How's that trace program going, experts? We heard about that all the time in May and June. You need to have that trace program up and running. How's that tracing going? Yeah, you tracing down all these cases? Sure. How did I know that wasn't going to work? Oh, I don't know, because I thought about it for about 2 seconds. Well, more than that, but in 2 seconds you come to the right answer. But no, they're just going to tell us that this is what has to happen. Once again, another series of lockdowns. I don't know what it's going to take to get enough people to finally understand that this is insane, but we're clearly not there yet. We're clearly not at a phase in this where everyone's just going to say no. Everyone's going to say we're unwilling to do this to ourselves again. But, I sit here and I hear the stuff about schools. Europe has opened its schools and it's fine. They're fine. No super spreader school issues. Everything's been fine. The American Academy of Pediatrics has said open schools this fall. In almost none of the major news stories I've read does that data point appear. In fact, they're claiming that Trump is going against the science. Trump is going against the science. Oh, and the idiot brigade over at CNN likes to mock their likes to mock their political opponents here and say that they don't believe in the science either. Play clip 12.
What are these people? I mean, come on. Really?
That guy's Irish. Nino Vital.
I'm not saying.
Couldn't be more Italian than that name.
I'm not getting in on that thing, but I mean, how? I wonder if these people work for the pretzel companies. Like they should start a pretzel business.
Because they got it twisted.
They got it twisted and, well, it's religion. It's, you can't.
Can't wear a mask. You don't see one on Jesus. Blessed be his holy name.
Chris, what is happening? What are we living? Have you seen the videos of these people in the stores who are like, get away from me. You're threatening me. I don't have to wear a mask. It's like, what's wrong? I want to play all of them, not even say anything, and just let people see themselves. Just wear a mask. You got to wear a shirt. You got to wear shoes. You can't go without pants come on.
They're the enemy, all right. CNN. Yeah, that's right. It's similar. Wearing shoes and a shirt, which is also, this is what private businesses say if you want service. No shirt, no shoes, no service. The government mandating mask wearing outdoors is moronic. There's nothing to support this. They're doing it in New Jersey now. They're calling for it at the national level. We're going to be wearing masks for years. This is now becoming a symbol of do as you're told, peasant. It doesn't make any... If it was so obvious, do not let them get away from this. If the science was so clear and it was so obvious, why were they telling us, including Fauci himself, do not wear a mask unless you are sick or a healthcare worker 5 months ago? What have we learned that has changed it from, don't do that, official guidance from the government experts, don't wear a mask, to, if you don't wear a mask, you're a bad person? How else are we supposed to view this other than what a pile of crap? Oh, no, it's so clear. The science is so settled. Wear a mask. Really? It wasn't settled then. It's amazing. Jordan Schachtel, who we've had on the show before, had a pretty good thread on this. He said pretty good tweet on it. The four most prevalent arguments from the lockdown crowd these days. Number one, sure, there's no evidence that masks work, but wear them anyway. Number two, herd immunity bad. Flatten the curve was so last week. Please shut down USA again and close schools. Number three, people are sick. Shut it down. Number four, science. Yep. So there we go. Now we're back to this. I told you this would happen. It was obvious. And the politics at work here, I think, are quite obvious as well. They're just telling us all that this is what we have to do just in time for the economy to be, it's going to be impossible for it to, and when I say recover, for the recovery trend to be clear enough that Trump can make the case for himself that if you keep me in charge, we will be in a better position. Look, this is why you've got the Reuters piece today. Job losses as U.S. hits, grim job losses as U.S. hits record high on new COVID cases. This is from Reuters. As the number of new COVID cases in the U.S. rose to a single-day record, fresh government data on Thursday showed another 1.3 million Americans filed for jobless benefits, highlighting the pandemic's devastating impact on the economy. More than 60,000 new COVID-19 infections were reported on Wednesday, And U.S. deaths rose by more than 900 for the second straight day, the highest since early June. Florida on Thursday announced nearly 9,000 new cases and 120 new coronavirus deaths. Positive test rates reached a new daily high of 18%. Florida didn't lock down and was doing well. You remember this. And now we're told that the reason that people are that these states are having more cases is that they reopened. But why doesn't account for the places that locked down and the places that did not? It doesn't account for it. So I just find it, my friends, I just find it reckless beyond words that we have a media that doesn't ask any real questions. They're all invested in this. They want to shut things down again, so they're going to shut things down again. That's what's going to end up happening. You're going to have states that are back into phase one. You're going to have states where you're being told wear a mask. You have all these people going around. Remember, they're freaking out at you for not wearing a mask when 99.99999% of you listening to this aren't sick. So you're being told to wear a mask just in case you're secretly sick. I mean, I don't know. They're wearing us all down, aren't they? They're wearing us all down now. And what we were told last week, what we were told last month, none of it matters. You know what's fascinating? No stories really about the protests and all the activity around the protests and any spread of these cases. Interesting. Because we're supposed to believe that everyone jammed together, breathing on each other, screaming, that is... Look, I wouldn't go to one of those protests just for disease concern. Never mind the stupidity of the actual messages that they're all shouting. But I wouldn't have gone just because I wouldn't want to be around that many people that, you know, no one should be... Look, COVID is something you don't want to get. We all understand that. But to shut down the country again, I'm wondering what it's going to take. I'm wondering what we have to find out, what has to happen for people to understand that we cannot stop this. It's going to keep happening. And all we do by shutting down is doing a lot of other damage to ourselves as this pandemic goes across the country and continues to obviously ruin the year for people. I see here that 86,000 students in Nashville, which has a predominantly poor urban school district, according to our friend Alex Berenson here, will be denied even the chance at in-person school in August, online only. That's going to be tough for the 31% of students who don't have a computer at home. This online learning stuff, you see the people that are in charge of all this, they just don't care. They just don't care. Doesn't matter who suffers, doesn't matter what goes on. Their most important mission is to pretend they care about saving lives when they really care about defeating Donald Trump. That is what the crazy libs are doing. And I'm sorry. Today I'm just... my frustration is finally setting in on this. My frustration is growing. I have been telling you, team, I've been warning anybody who will listen, don't expect the Durham probe, don't expect that to save the Republic by exposing the deep state in time for the election. Story today on Fox News from Brooke Singman. Durham is under pressure to wrap up investigation, but sources say he could punt until after Election Day. Yep. I've been thinking this is going to happen. First of all, two things. Even if it gets done before the election, I don't think it's going to affect the election all that much. It doesn't matter what they find. We already know that this was a scam against... We know enough to know the deep state tried to kick Trump out of office with lies and cheating and underhanded stuff. I don't know. Sorry, that was that was me. My phone just went off. It'll happen. So anyway, the Durham probe is not going to be in a position to change the election no matter what. And if you're thinking that there's going to be real justice, I'm here to tell you right now, it's probably going to be very disappointing. Here's what we will find out, in my estimation, when this thing comes out, which is probably going to be after the election. That's my guess, but it's probably going to be after the election. And what we're going to find out is that that there were people who were clearly politically motivated, including likely the CIA director. This is my guess. The CIA director, John Brennan, Director James Comey, who saw and heard about these rumors of Russia-Trump stuff from other people inside the intelligence community. Because, yeah, there's been some connection to people who are Russian or something in the past, right? They'll find something very minimal. And then they were willing, meaning the people involved from the deep state side, were willing to pretend like they had no ability to really vet anything and use the flimsiest pretext and information possible to get the investigation going of Carter Page, of Papadopoulos, and that there were things happening on the intel collection side even before the FBI came out with the stuff that we all know about now, right? Crossfire Hurricane and all of that. So that's what we're going to find out. Is anybody who is going to vote for Trump or vote for Biden going to change their mind? But no, I really don't think so. I really don't think that's going to change anybody's mind. So don't expect the Durham probe to be a Hail Mary. Just saying, I come here, I speak the truth. My buddy Rob Smith's going to join us here in a minute to talk about a lot of things, including Kanye for president. Stay with me.